Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Grandstand Gurus, the #1 sports podcast on the Explosion Network. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jack Kruse. I'm joined again this week by Ashley Hobley.
Hey.
And that was horrible. What is wrong with you? And returning after a week off with hepatitis, Ciaran Marchant.
Why, hello there. And hepatitis? What?
That's extreme.
I was
Okay.
I was gonna go osteitis pubis, but I figured I'd just go up it one more.
Wait, which one? Hepatitis B or C? Because B's the homie.
What's the one that everyone got from eating the frozen berries a couple of years ago?
I think that was like C. I think it was last year. I don't know.
That's the one you are.
This
That's
is
the one you've got.
hepatitis stand gurus. Let's
This
talk some sport.
The #1
Medical
blood
podcast. The
medical
Explosion Network.
blood disease podcast on the internet. I was meant to give blood yesterday, actually. Funny story, but I had to pull out because I had a meeting 2.5 hours away that I had to go to. So, which was disappointing. I was going to do a journal and all that and show how much of a good Samaritan I am, and it did not work out. But nevertheless, I shall reschedule.
Cool.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this is Grandstand Gurus, the podcast where a few mates get together every week, talk all the things we know and love about sports. And the first one, as you know, is not a large portion of it because we don't know a lot. We're not experts. We just like to, shoot the shiznit. Pretty sure I can say shiznit, can't I?
And you say you're the one that makes the rules here, Jack.
I don't think that's a swear word.
I don't know, Jack.
It's a made-up
up to you.
word,
Dogg-
so it can't
It's
be.
up to you.
Snoop-
It's a swear word.
Well,
You
maybe in
cannot say
another
shiznit.
language.
You can't say shiznit. I ban it.
Yes, you can.
I'll put my foot down.
Shiznit.
It's not your podcast. This is my
How dare
podcast.
I think we all own a stake in this podcast.
If Snoop Dogg can say it on MTV at like 4 in the afternoon, I'm pretty sure I can say it on Grandstand Gurus at 7:17 on a Tuesday night.
I don't know.
Well, you don't know when people are going to be listening to this. It could be any time.
Wow. There's at least I don't know how many seconds in a week, or minutes in a week. That's too much math, but there's some sort of percentage chance that it could be Tuesday night at 7:17.
We'll just see what
You don't
happens when the...
You don't know people. You don't know their
Very
lives. You
small.
don't know their
We'll
story.
see. We'll see what happens when the FCC won't let you be you. Exactly.
Oh, you are terrible.
I am
That was
horrible.
terrible.
I'm really bad.
Oh dear.
It's
What did you have
okay.
for What did you have for dinner tonight? Mum make spaghetti?
No, I had some pie. I wish I had spaghetti. Oh my god.
Do you like pie?
And I need a sweater.
Yes,
yeah.
very good.
Let's go.
Anyway,
Let's do it.
what are we doing?
This is a
This
shambles.
podcast, that's what we're doing. Thanks for joining us, guys. Gentlemen, what were our highlights for the weekend sport?
I didn't have... I was a really low point of sport for me. I don't know why.
Oh, no.
Because every team that I wanted to win won. Every team I wanted to win didn't win. And I was super upset about it. Hawthorn just came out and weren't playing we just went back to how we played weeks ago, and that stresses me out for next season. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No doubt.
I don't know.
It's, yeah. I mean, did you have high expectations for them? I mean, I know they beat Sydney.
I didn't expect it. I thought, no, I didn't. Okay, I didn't have high expectations, but I thought we'd play better. We'd give Richmond a better run for their money. Considering some of the closer game Richmond has been in this season, I thought we'd just give them a bit more of a harder game to play. But
They're in good form. I mean, the Tigers are in good form. And it wasn't the game was just about over at quarter time.
yes,
There was not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. You guys pretty much, broke even with them for the rest of the game. You lost the first quarter by 4 goals, and that was the margin just about at the end.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That was the issue.
It was, it was just one of those boring games, I think. But Tigers are in form. Whether they can keep that going is another thing. I was sort of, as much as I dislike Richmond, it was a weird weekend of footy. I was sort of barracking for all different teams for different reasons. I was going so hard for Carlton. I really wanted them to beat Essendon, and that didn't come off. And then, wanting Geelong to beat Sydney, and that didn't come off. The Melbourne lost to GWS though, which was really good for us. And then St Kilda getting over West Coast was awesome. So a couple of things went our way. We were still in the 8, so that was good. So no highlight.
I'm not gonna. I thought about it really
living
hard.
up to your heritage.
I couldn't think of any. You know what made me really happy? That Geelong was so terrible without Dangerfield. That Geelong were so
and
bad.
Selwood.
And Selwood.
Well, they lost Selwood early, and
They
it just
lost
goes to show
Selwood,
that
and then it was
they just
like
about
their
are a
team
two-man team.
did nothing, and that made me feel a bit better about myself for the that gave me hope for the coming weekend. But yeah, no, that team. I don't know what the go is with that team and what they need to do. They rely too heavily on Mr. Dangerfield and Mr. Selwood.
That they do. That they do. Ashley, what was your highlight?
My highlight was Brisbane playing the Gold Coast Titans on the weekend. They smashed them 54-0, which in rugby league terms is like a massive score. 10 tries.
That's huge.
Yeah, Wayne Bennett.
That's like 9 goals in AFL.
Yeah. Wayne Bennett pulled a Swifty and started Sam Thaiday at hooker. And then about 20 minutes in, he brought Ben Hunt in, and Ben Hunt pretty much stole the show with a man-of-match performance. Ended with a hat-trick and a bunch of try assists. So, yeah.
Boom.
Looking good for the
Go
next
Brisbane.
couple of weeks. Especially
Broncos.
considering McCulloch's out, and we thought that might be a massive dent in our premiership hopes.
No
And
doubt.
that was the only
Where are
important
the-
Brisbane game this weekend.
What was where were where are the Broncos on the ladder?
That puts us on 3rd, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Is anyone going to catch the Storm?
No, I don't think so.
Storm catches.
Bring it home.
No,
Bring it
unless
home,
they
Stormers.
3 rounds. Maybe the Roosters could catch them, but the Storm would have to lose every single match between now and then.
Yeah. No chance.
So yeah,
Can
no
the
chance.
Storm? Can the Stormers? Is that what they call them? The
No,
Stormers?
no, they don't.
Can
Stormers
the
is a
Lightning, the
rugby
Clouds?
union team in the Super Rugby.
Oh, you're just making this up.
This
aren't you?
is some crazy shit going on.
Super
here.
rugby. It's all the same. My highlight from the weekend sport was not the Bulldogs win, because that was a horrible game of football.
That was so
In
close.
fact,
I was so waiting for you. I was expecting there to be the biggest breakup in Grandstand Guru's history if the Brisbane Lions had beaten the Doggies. I was waiting
Ash
for
was
it.
talking so much smack.
He was
getting
talking
lit.
Little
so
bit of
much
smack.
shit.
A little bit of smack. Came back to bite you, didn't it, mate? What did I say? What did I say last week? What did I say? Never, ever. Never. Don't
Yeah.
ever do
Why can't, like, you know, the last 2 weeks I've watched Western Bulldogs games, and Bontempelli plays, like, the most amazing last quarter. Both times. What's the go with that, Jack? Why doesn't he
Just a
just do
clutch
that?
player, isn't he?
He's
Man, he's
just
clutch.
crazy.
He's a champion. He's an absolute Rolls Royce, mate. He stands up when they're needed, and he's done that many times over his short career so far. He's just an absolute out and out champion. There's not much else you can say about that. He's a genuine Rolls Royce.
Just
He's
can't
like
play 4 quarters.
Do you know what's really? He must. I honestly think he must be carrying an injury, because he played a lot of time forward the last 2 weeks, and is still having mid-20s possessions and kicking multiple goals. So, I mean, and it's not like we were lacking height in our forward line, because he's tall. He's like 194 centimeters, 195 centimeters, something like that. So he's a tall midfielder, but. Back in the day, he would have been full forward at that height, or even a ruckman. Like, I think he's taller than Sam Newman. Sam Newman played his entire career as a ruckman. I've just maybe he's got a niggle or something, and he's just carrying something, because he's playing a lot of time forward. And we weren't lacking height. Like, we had Redpath and Cloak in the team. So, but he just makes them both look amateur.
Yeah.
He's clutch. Yeah, he's absolutely clutch. And he didn't. He played like he had shots on goal in the first kick of the first three quarters, and he just happened to miss the first 3, well, all 4 actually, and then got a couple in the last quarter. Did the same last week, but his set shot kicking used to be like spot on, and now it's gotten very, very shaky this year. So whether he's just gotten his own head about it seems that way, but he kicks them when he needs to, which is all you can really ask. So he had I think he had 2 goals, 4 or something ridiculous on the weekend, something like that. So he's a champion player. No, my highlight was my second most hated team beat my most hated team, but not so much the result of that game, but where it left Melbourne on the ladder
10th.
at the end of the round.
10th?
Which, if I'm not mistaken, they are in 10th place.
They are in 10th.
And that's just so satisfying for me. It really is. Like, that is just the best. Like, if I look at that and I think about where we were like a month ago and they were pushing for top 4 and they were all the rage, and now they've lost like the last 2. We've won 4 in a row, and it's just tipped nicely. We're sitting 7th, they're 10th. It's just magical.
No, I meant because I want them to play finals over Essendon. I don't want Essendon to play finals this year.
I mean, if anyone, I'd prefer it to be St Kilda to sort of get up and play finals.
Well, that'll probably be decided this weekend. So
yeah, well, they're going to need to win all 3 of their matches. They've got Melbourne this week. That's a massive game.
Yeah, I'm going to.
And
that
then
game,
North.
So it's going to be.
And then North, and then Richmond, and what could potentially be Ruse, Nick Riewold's last game. So I think if they win all 3, they could definitely play finals. Essendon are not guaranteed to win all 3. They play Adelaide this week over here, difficult. But then they play Gold Coast up there and Fremantle here. So you'd think they'd win 2 of those. West Coast, again, I think West Coast are cooked because they play Carlton at home this week, which you think would be a win. But then they play GWS away and then Adelaide at home. And you'd think that they'd probably lose both of those. Melbourne are a tough, like they play St Kilda this week, which is a massive game. But then they've got Brisbane here and Collingwood here. Massive games. They're probably the 3 teams. I wouldn't say Collingwood and Hawthorn are a chance anymore. That's
no way.
I think sailed after this weekend. But any of those 3 teams from 11th to 8th could make it. Even us, like we're a game ahead of Essendon, but we play GWS, Port, and Hawthorn in the last 3 games. We said that they're all in Victoria. Port Adelaide is at Ballarat, so that's really like an unknown. But GWS and Hawthorn are both at Etihad Stadium, so very interesting. It'll be good. It'll come down to the last weekend. That game between St Kilda and Richmond in the last round looms to be a massive one.
St Kilda, Richmond, Collingwood, and Melbourne as well that weekend. Really big.
Collingwood, Melbourne, Hawthorn, Bulldogs. Like, there's some big games in the last round.
I reckon
GWS.
In my opinion, I think whoever wins out of St Kilda, Melbourne this weekend, they're the likelihood to go into the finals if they have a chance. Like, I don't think the other one can pick it up for losing that game. So
you'd think so, yeah. So, but it's gonna be it's looming as a bumper last round. There's some awesome games that round, pretty much all the way through. So. Hawks, Dogs, Demons, Melbourne. Obviously, the Brisbane North Melbourne game is sort of inconsequential, as is the Sydney Carlton game.
Oh, it's very important.
Almost,
it's going to decide.
It is too. It's the Wooden Spoon Cup. It's the number 1 draft cup. It's the number 1 cup.
Well, assuming we're still in with a chance of getting past them. But.
Just about all games, other than Sydney Carlton, really all have consequence to the finals or the draft. So. West Coast, Adelaide, Richmond, St Kilda, Essendon, Fremantle. There's some big games, so it's very, very excitement. Very, very excitement. Very good. And Melbourne are 10th. That's the most important thing we took away from that. All right, guys, kicking into it. I'm going to go first this week.
Cool.
My topic, drug cheats. I want to talk about the scourge on sport that is the drug cheat. And more specifically, whether or not a drug cheat who is found guilty of being a drug cheat should be allowed to compete ever again in their field of sport. So we've had some pretty big, over the course of time. There's been obviously a lot of athletes that have been done for doping and that kind of thing. And there's been some massive ones, though. Obviously, Lance Franklin's Lance Franklin.
Why do you know? Well, he
what?
Needs to. I'm sorry.
Not Lance Franklin. No. He's not a drug cheat. No. Lance Armstrong. My apologies, Lance Franklin. Sorry. Obviously, Lance Armstrong is the biggest one. And, you've got Johnson, the Canadian Jamaican runner. You've got, Maria Sharapova, obviously, in the last few years, she got done for a banned substance. Jose Canseco.
Sharapova's was weird, though. Sharapova's wasn't as clear cut as the others. Like, they changed that drug list on her, like, midway through.
Yeah,
so
but
just before
that's her
there's a whole rigmarole behind that. Like,
that's her responsibility. Yeah. Obviously, then the Essendon players who were done for doping and were given a year off, and the countless UFC fighters who have been done over the years. Brock, former champions, Lesnar, Anderson Silva was done at one point. There's been we've spoken a lot about Yoel Romero and his drug cheating, and then probably the one that's in the spotlight the most at the moment is Gatlin, who he's been done twice. I think he won. So he won the 100-meter sprint in Athens, I believe it was, in 2004. Does that sound right? Yeah, I think so. I think it was 2004. Gatlin won and then was stripped of that. And then obviously on the weekend he won the gold at the World Championships by beating Usain Bolt in his last ever race. Bolt obviously became third. So, and there's a lot of talk about that, whether Gatlin should have been allowed to come back and compete at that level, considering he's been not done once but twice. So he's been done for doping twice. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. What do you reckon? Should a drug cheat be given a chance, or are they tainted forever?
I guess it depends on the drug. Like, if it's actually performance enhancing. I mean, you would have hated Shane Warne to be rubbed out for the rest of his career because he took those diuretics.
Diuretics,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I think so. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I think that's a good point to make.
To a certain extent, the Essendon players who were taking things that they didn't know they were taking, potentially.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Don't do that to me, Ash.
Yeah, no,
you'd
but it's a
hate to
valid
see
point.
like some of the younger guys in that team who maybe had barely any games under them be wiped out for the rest of the career.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a harsh penalty. But yeah, all right, repeat offenders, people who are clearly trying to cheat the system, need to be cut out of the sport. Don't deserve a second chance.
Yep.
I guess for me, it depends on the sport and it depends on the drug, as Ash said. I think for the UFC and fighting in general does need to put in some better controls or some better penalties for taking drugs, as Mark Hunt's been trying to do. That he's lost he had 2 fights in a row where the other person was found for drugs each time, and it was almost pointless.
We had the fight against Lesnar, which was ruled a no contest, and he's fought against drug cheats.
I think that was the one before Lesnar as well was the same. I can't remember.
No, because his fight before Lesnar was against...
or wasn't it Bigfoot? Bigfoot got caught?
Yeah, no, I don't know if it was Bigfoot. Hold on.
You do some research. And I think that, bringing up the Essendon one, the whole thing with Essendon's kind of put a bitter taste in my mouth, because
why is that?
It's carried on this whole season that. So Essendon Hawthorn was the first game of the season for Hawthorn, and I was there, and we lost that fucking terribly. But then they just had this whole thing about this is our comeback story, and it was such
You're a Hawthorn supporter, though.
I am a Hawthorn supporter.
Your view is tainted.
I am a Hawthorn supporter, but the whole thing of... I have a friend that every time Essendon wins a game, he posts on social media, this is our comeback story. And I'm like... these guys are being welcomed back like heroes almost after getting a drug ban. And it frustrates me, because it's this shouldn't be how people are... they shouldn't be so easily forgiven for stuff like it. They shouldn't be... It's almost now in this point in history, nobody talks about that scandal like it's a terrible thing. Everybody's oh, they served their time and now they're coming back to do great things. And it's well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. It might just be, I was just a salty fan at the time, but it's just one of those things that, yes, you've done your time and you've paid your cost for it, but people shouldn't be forgetting what happens.
Yeah.
There was a similar feeling in the NRL with the Cronulla Sharks, who last season won the premiership, and they accepted their ban.
Exactly.
They played.
At least Essendon have always fought it and denied it. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I imagine the Cronulla one would have been, while it was a a great underdog story from the outside looking in. As an AFL supporter, you sort of saw it as that, similar story to the Bulldogs, and that they'd never won a grand final before, and their first one, and this, that, and the other. And I'd completely forgotten, to be honest, about the dialogue behind that. I guess the ban and that I'd completely forgotten about it. So I guess there would have been that kind of discussion as well, whether it was a tainted flag, because imagine a lot of those players who copped that ban.
It was like maybe 3 years after the incidents took place, but still there was major players. Paul Gallen, who's like the face of that club, he pled guilty to taking banned substances. So,
yeah, yeah, I'm more of the opinion, and it depends. I think it's actually made a good point at the start. It sort of depends on what you've done, what you've taken. So, like, I think about, like, Ahmed Saad, who's played for St Kilda, copped a ban, which effectively ended his AFL career. But his was something that was in a protein shake, something like that. So it wasn't like he'd gone and taken steroids. It was, it was a one banned substance. Well, it could be deemed performance enhancing or on the banned list, as because of whatever reason, whatever effect it has. He didn't have it, to be a cheat. He didn't try and cheat. There's some other weird ones. If you think back to the Fremantle player Crowley, he copped a ban for for taking a painkiller that he got through like a different doctor. So it's things like that. It's sort of like, well, that's just a weird thing to do. Why would you do that? And why wouldn't you just go through your club doctor? And then there's ones like, Maria Sharapova, where it's sort of a grey area, and it is her responsibility as a professional athlete to make sure any substance, any, whatever it is that she's taking, she needs to make sure that it's, above board and that kind of thing. Yeah. And so those ones I think are a little bit more of a grey area, where it's like, okay, you stuffed up, you made a mistake, cop your whack, and you can come back and you can play. And then you get the filthy, dirty, rotten cheats like Justin Gatlin and bloody, Yoel Romero and, Johnson and these guys who, obviously Lance Armstrong
Franklin
retired and then was found out afterwards. But, the myriad other cyclists and myriad other fighters who have been done over the years. And you get these bloody cheats and they come back, right? But they come back and they win. And they continue to prosper in sports that are tainted in. And I have a real problem with it in athletics as well. I think athletics is absolutely just rife with it. Like, it's disgusting. But
I saw a graphic the other day. I think it was yesterday. I saw this graphic where it was like the top however many top 100-meter sprinters or whatever out of like I think it was my top 30 or top 20. And they put a red line through everybody who had been found to have taken drugs to enhance it. The only person who was on that list was Usain Bolt in the end.
So what it was, the graphic that you're talking about was a list of the fastest 100-meter times ever recorded, and then a line, and then those caught doping are struck out in red, and you go through the list, and every single one, the only person. So it's like so I think there's like 20 or something like that times recorded here, and the only person with a time on there that hasn't been struck out is Usain Bolt. The rest of them are all drug cheats who have been done. So, Tyson Gay, Asafa Powell, Justin Gatlin, the list goes on and on and on. And they're all and that's the thing, especially with athletics, is that, okay, yep, they've done cheating, now they're not, they're not cheating anymore. They're clean in quotation marks, but like their bodies are tainted because the drugs and the steroids and things that they take in those times when they are cheating aren't just like, it's not like once you stop taking the steroids and it's done. Like, they've genetically enhanced their bodies, and that is an effect that can last for decades. If they keep training at a high, they've used an artificial substance to take their body to another level that they wouldn't have been able to get to. And now they're at that level. They can continue that because they're at that level. Their body's at that peak performance level that they continue to train at that level and continue to improve their body. So I think specifically in these types of situations. The Gatlin one specifically, like that's just breaks your heart, doesn't it? To see one of the greatest athletes who's ever lived, and it's his last 100-meter race, and he's beaten by a guy who's a dirty drug cheat. And I think there was a story about there was an Australian what do they call, the walker, like the
Walkers.
Walkers, yeah, in the Olympics.
Yeah,
they he'd been beat. The Aussie guy had been beaten. He'd come second like a heap of times, and like 4 of the times that he'd come second had been found out. Like he'd been retrospectively rewarded gold medals because the cheats, the people that won were found to be cheating, and he's just a battler trying to do the right thing. Anyway, he's working, does this long marathon and comes second to a guy who'd just come back 2 days earlier from a drug ban.
Yeah.
And it's just...
breaks your heart.
Just frustrates me. Yeah, it does. Because there's people that, like, honest people who work their backsides off to, be the best in their field, and they do it the right way, and they get beaten by people who have cheated. And that's what they're doing. They're cheating. And I think cheating in any aspect of sport is unacceptable. So yeah, I'm more of the opinion that, especially in athletics and things like that, that if you've done that, you're out. You should be out forever. So it frustrates me when I see things like that happening, like Usain Bolt not being able to, walk out on top, which he deserves to because he's the greatest.
Well, he came third, so I think somebody else beat him as well. So.
Well, yeah, I know that's true. But, yeah, that's a good point. Well, he should have at least got silver. And Gatlin's a scumbag. Anyway. That's how I feel about drug cheats. In case, And like I don't know, obviously I don't know the guy. He could be a nice guy. Maybe he was, led astray by his management or his coaches or something. I'm sure they had some form of hand in it, like the people involved with Lance Armstrong did, and all the rest. But I think you've got to take responsibility for that if you make a decision like that. And it was only Brock Lesnar that was overturned.
It was only Brock Lesnar? Okay.
Yeah. He did fight Frank Mir, and Frank Mir is currently serving a drug ban, but I don't believe it was from that fight.
Okay, so, fair enough.
Very good. He did fight Alistair Overeem recently, who is one of the guys who we spoke about who's been done before for cheating, for being a dirty cheat.
Enough. Dirty cheats.
Yeah. The only cheating acceptable in sport is the Eddie Guerrero type.
I cheat, I steal. It made him look so good.
He also did lots of steroids in his career.
He clearly did.
As did many WWE/F superstars, or whatever they call them. What do they call them now, Ciaran?
They're still superstars. They're
wrong answer. We're not allowed to talk wrestling on this program.
Sports entertainers.
Very good.
Moving
on. Ciaran.
Me? Hey. So.
Yes, you.
A couple of weeks ago now, I think 2, I took me old mate, Jack Kruse, out to the football. And we watched a fantastic game of football between Sydney and Hawthorn.
That we did.
But, what? Even though I had this great night, what sticks in my mind is the grandstand we sat in. So, this is Grandstand Guru. So, I thought for our topic, we would talk about our favourite places to watch sport and the people around us when we do watch sport. Because we somehow chose the most bogan Sydney supporters I have ever seen or ever met in my life.
They were worse, weren't they?
There was some tinfoil hat business going on where they were like, they don't show Sydney reviews or replays
that's right.
after umpire calls.
They don't show our replays. It's rigged. There was some Houso stuff going on there. There was some. It was
terrible. And Jack and myself had the best moment because there was this minute where there was this moment where a Hawthorn player kicked it, and I think it either went out or a Sydney player caught it, and he went.
No, he kicked it behind. Yeah.
He kicked it behind, and the guy was like, "Oh, good kick." Like going from the behind, the Sydney player kicks it directly to Ryan Showmakers, and there's Jack me going, "Good kick, good kick."
It was just perfect. It was perfect because he kicked, like the Hawthorn player kicked it and went through from behind, and he's going, "Oh, good kick!" And like the very next second the Sydney player kicked it directly back to the Hawthorn player. It was so good.
It made that win. It made that win so much more satisfying to me as a fan, because I was like, I shut these people, like my team shut these people up. Like, my God, they were, oh, you go on, you blood boys. It was like, oh, I hate.
Oh God.
It was, but yeah, I want to talk about that because generally I've really enjoyed. Until maybe the last couple of years, I didn't go to as much live AFL until Dad and myself started to get. I bought Dad a North Melbourne membership last year. He bought me Hawthorn this year, and I think we're both going to keep him up now, probably for the rest of our lives. And I love going to footy, even though for me it's a couple-hour trip there and a couple hours back to go watch it. But there's nothing quite like watching footy or watching it live. That it really so. Ash and Jack, what are your favourite, let's say, rituals, or do you love to watch it at the live? Do you love to watch it at home? And about the people around you, do you have any great spectator stories like that one with that? And I will always say, so Jack, I didn't tell you this, I confirmed the conspiracy of my dad. Because whenever Dad and me choose seats at the football, we always get weird people sitting behind us. No matter what, it happens. And so it's always, no, it's you. They're following you, man. And Dad goes, no, you're following me. We confirmed it's me, sadly.
Yeah.
I'm the problem.
Yep.
So,
understandable.
Oh, thanks, Jack.
Sorry, that wasn't meant like that.
So, yeah. Let's have at it. Where do you love to watch your sport?
Well, pretty much... mostly at home. I think it's pretty difficult to. It's so easy to be at home and just watch. The coverage is so good now that it's pretty hard to beat, especially having to go all the way into the city, at least in Brisbane, and pay $30-40 a person. It's so much easier just to stay at home and watch it free to air or on Foxtel. But yeah, Suncorp is where I normally go see either the Raw or the Broncos, and it's always pretty good. It's all in Brisbane, at least. It's set seating. I don't know what it's like for the obviously AFL.
It depends where you are. If you're a general admission, it's kind of like, okay, go on these sections, just grab what you can get. Depends on the level and stuff.
Yeah, but so Suncorp set seating, so normally it's just random whoever you. But it's normally home supporters you sit with most matches, so it's not too bad. The worst story I ever had, though, was when we played the Brisbane Roar played Perth Glory in the grand final. I can't remember what year, but the whole match there was this lady sitting behind us talking about random crap the whole entire game, like nothing related to the story, not related to the game at all, just babbling on and on. And I swear, I was so grateful that we managed to score a goal before we went to extra time, because it ended the match quicker. I don't think I could have lasted another 30 minutes with her sitting behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it can be pretty like nails on a chalkboard sometimes, can't it?
Yes, it can.
Oh dear. I mean, I think I speak about this very often, but I love going to the football. I like actively dislike watching the footy at home live. Like I actually really don't like it, because I get a lot angrier at home because I can. Like I can punch the couch, I can kick the coffee table, I can throw stuff around and say the C word and the F word and not like get in trouble, except from Sal coming and telling me to calm down. So I actually really dislike watching the footy at home on the telly, and also because the 90% of AFL commentators are absolutely disgraceful and horrid to listen to. So, especially now since Dennis Cometty's retired, and and Michael Christian and some of the really good ones, and Jared Waitley don't commentate on TV. It makes it really hard, because all the really good commentators are only on radio, which is bizarre to me, because some of the ones that commentate, oh my God, Basil Zemplis, you've got to be kidding me. How has this guy got a job? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Dermot Brereton, give me a break. Dermot Brereton commentates more than the bloody play-by-play commentators talk. He just does not shut up. So there's some really, really annoying ones, but there's some great analysers out there. You know, there's you've got Gary Lyon's really good, even though he's not on television anymore. But Jason Dunstall's quite good, as is Paul Kruse. So there's some good ones out there, but there's some really bad ones. So it makes it harder to watch at home. But I love going to the football. I don't think there's many better feelings for me than being in the Etihad Stadium, and I've spoken about it many times, where I have my exact same seat that I sit in every week, in the exact same aisle, in the exact same spot. And I've got like this, like you speak about the people around you, because I sit in the same spot every week, and I've spoken about this before, I have my surrogate bulldog family who they all sit in their same seats, and the old couple with the guy who has no concept of personal space, and the two brothers and their dad, and like the young couple and that. So I've got like now I've noticed there's a new group this year. Is the bunch of ladies, the 4 ladies, and then one of them always tells me off because being a one-eyed Bulldog supporter, obviously I just scream anytime we tackle someone. It's ball. It's always ball, even if it's like, even if they get, going to
the footy, dude. That's part of going
of course. That's like one of their favorite things to do.
Yelling ball every 5 seconds.
And I scream ball like any chance I get. Ball! And she always is like, they're never going to pay it. They're not going to pay it. You don't keep saying it. But,
she's right.
She's right. Yeah, she is. And I always say, anytime someone like I told the story last week about the Essendon supporters that were sitting behind me, which were absolutely insufferable. And I turned around and gave them what for calling us cheats, and I turned around and said, geez, mate, I wouldn't be throwing that term around here if I was you. But he said as well, like, I scream ball, as I do, and the player got the kick away, and it was very nearly ball. Like, it wasn't one of the ones where it was, blatantly not. But he's like, oh, you got his kick away, mate. You're not bloody ball. And I turn around and I'm like, mate, it's always ball. It's always ball.
It is
like,
always
I'm never
ball.
not going to ask. It's always in the back. It's always ball, and it's always high. I'm never not going to be like, I'm never not going to barrack against my team getting a free kick. You're kidding, aren't you? So there's that. But I've had some, it's funny actually you bring this up. I was going to tell this story last week, but now's a better time than ever. The reason Essendon are my third most hated team is because of their supporters. And I don't believe I've told this story, but I'm going to tell it. So I went to a Essendon Bulldogs game in 2015. And it was when they were just about to go. Obviously, they missed the 2016 season, the majority of their players and all that. So they were sort of going through all that stuff, and they were just about to sack Hurd and all this stuff going on. And I went to the Bulldogs Essendon game. It was an away game, so I went and bought a reserve seat ticket. And it just happened to be plonked right in the middle of like the Essendon members on level 3, which was horrible. And I was sitting next to this dude who was nice enough, and it was right around that time that Adam Good stuff was going on, so it was quite a like tense feeling to go to the football. Like, it felt like everyone was just waiting for someone to be racist. Like, there was a lot of people. I sat down, and the first thing the dude said to me, like, their sentence was like, "Oh, so what do you think about the Adam Goods thing?" Because that was the topic on everyone's lips at the time. And I just sort of said, "Oh, I think it's crap that everyone boos him. I think it's just, I don't think the majority of people booing him are racist, but I think you're giving cover to all the racists who are booing him, and there is a racial connotation to it, that doesn't happen without that kind of thing being a part of it. So, you've got to take it for what it is." And anyway, I had these two gooses sitting behind me for the entire game, and we gave them an absolute hiding. I think we beat them by like 80 points, something like that. And these gooses sitting behind me are carrying on, and them, and talking out their backsides. They're like, "Oh, they haven't beaten anyone in the top 4. They're crap." Where we'd beaten like 3 of the 4 teams in the top 4 at the time. I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, is he serious? This guy just doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like, none of their players have ever played finals. I'm like, we played in 3 prelim finals like 3 years ago, you goose. And I'm just, anyway, he's crapping on and on. And I knew that they were doing it so that to make sure that I could hear them. I knew that they were like, carrying on and on. "Oh, they've only won 1 flag. They're pathetic." Blah blah. Which is the thing that Bombers supporters always go to against the Doggies. "Oh, we've won so many flags. You guys have never only won 1. Blah, 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 blah. The amount of times I heard that, I got that all growing up in school. So it's not a new thing that I've heard from a Bombers supporter. And these guys were going and going and going. I knew they were just doing it to try and get a rise out of me because I was I was, being myself, loud and barracking passionately for my team. And they just started getting real, like, just vile with the way they were talking about the doggies. And I just ignored it because I'm behind enemy lines. Like, I'm the only Bulldog supporter in my bay. And there was like a group of doggy supporters like in the next bay across from me, like down, who were like turning around and getting up and getting into the guys up behind us. And anyway, at the end of the game, like obviously we belted them. I'm standing up singing the song, and they were sitting like in the row behind me. And he's walked past, and the older dude is like leaned over the top of the rail that I was standing up behind. That was up like behind me, leaned over and like tapped me on the top of the head, but not like, tap, but like hard, like tap with his finger, like on the top of my head. And I've sort of like swung around and swatted his hand away. And because I'm like, I knew these guys were trying to get at me the whole game. And I turned around, I've never been as close to getting into a fight at the footy in my life. And I've turned around and I'm like, this guy, and he just like, he sort of like, I like, like
manned up.
Just manned up, yeah.
Just
like
out,
I didn't cock my fist or anything, but I was like, like, what do you like? Don't touch me, kind of thing. Like, you don't touch anyone. Like, that's you get out. Don't touch me. And I've turned around and I've said that. I'm like, don't you effing like touch me. And then he's sort of like arced back and was carrying on and started just like this racial. Oh, you're a big sook like that, effing. This Adam Goods, this, that, and like fully going on a tirade. This guy, and I was like, you're kidding, aren't you, mate? Like, you're an absolute disgrace. And I've never been, like, I was so fired up. I was about ready. And you could tell, like, the people around me were, like, embarrassed that this guy was part of their supporter base. Anyway, he's walked off, and I was quite fired up. I was about ready to bloody, box on if I had to, which I wouldn't, never want to do. That's always the last resort. But this guy was quite aggressive in the stuff that he was saying. That's why I hate Essendon. One of the worst experiences I've ever had at the footy. And to give you, like, and that's why I have no respect for that team. And I remember, I'll never forget that morning. I'll never forget the morning I was driving to work in the morning, and I had SEN on, which is if you don't live in Melbourne, SEN is like our sports dedicated radio station. And at like 7:30 in the morning, they like just announced that that WADA had just banned the Essendon players for 12 months. And I remember thinking in my head, all I could picture, and I had the biggest smile on my face, and all I could picture was that dude and his stupid head. And I just remember thinking about him and going, yeah, I wonder where you are right now. I wonder how you're feeling right now, you goose. And that was awesome. But to give you, and I'll give you another story. The reason I respect Port Adelaide so much, the very next week I was at the football and we had a group of Port Adelaide supporters around us, and we gave them a hiding as well. And we moved up into we actually moved into the top 4 in that game. And they show, normally when that kind of thing happens after a game, they put the ladder up on the scoreboard. And, there you go, Bulldogs fans, you're in the top 4, or you're back in the 8, or whatever it is. And this lady who was sitting in front of me, who was barracking very passionately for her team the whole game, turned around and said, "Oh, well done, mate. I'm really happy for you guys. I hope you go well in the finals. Good luck." Like, oh, thank you so much. Like, that's such a nice thing to say. Very sportsmanlike kind of thing. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't turn around and say that. I'd be filthy if I just got 10-goal hiding handed to me. So that's why I respect Port Adelaide, because their supporters have always been really fair. And Sydney as well, I think you can sort of say that about them. For the most part, their supporters are pretty good, other than the ones
except for our Bogans.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it is. I think there's nothing. The people around you at footy can make it awesome and can make it terrible at the same time. I know personally, I'm very. I have always a smirk on my face of people who trying to sound like they know what they're talking about to the person next to them, and you're just like so tempted to turn around and correct them. Every goddamn time. There's just something about football where it brings the weirdest array of people I've ever seen in the world in one place. So.
Yeah,
it's always great to go live. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that does remind me.
Prefer live.
We were at the Brisbane Lions Geelong game, and we happened to be sitting behind who we thought was the parents of one of the players, like one of the younger players. And the guys behind us, there was like a lady and an elderly gentleman. They were like giving that certain player a lot of stick throughout the match, so it was very awkward. Very awkward.
Dear.
Yeah,
you can tell who are like the bigger, like the more diehard AFL fans. They might not be there for their team, but they're the ones that yell at umpires by name. They like Nichols. How did you not see that? And you're like, whoa, dude.
Definitely. Razor. Very true. It's hard not to spot Razor, eh? That is quite funny. It's funny. Another little funny story. Speaking of Marcus Bontempelli, I was at his first game. I was sitting with his parents and his sisters, which was really cool. Really good experience. We got beat by Carlton, but it was nice to sit there and share that moment with them.
Did you
really
congratulate them on having such a fantastic surname? Bontempelli, what a name. What a name.
Not on the surname, but for having a fantastic son, I did.
Okay, fair enough.
They were really cool. And actually ran into his dad at the prelim final last year against GWS, and just went up to him and shook his hand and thanked him. Said,
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And he actually said to me, he's like, I get that a lot. I'm like, that's good. I'm like, I'm sure you do. Very good. Very good. Ashley.
Yes, a story caught my eye this week. What was it? So over the weekend or the weekend before, in WA, a team got penalised their points in the, I think it's under 13 competition. High level stuff here. But they got penalised because they beat their opposition by 95 points. So in WA in 2008, they introduced a 60-point ceiling for under 12s through to under 16s.
Mercy rule.
A mercy rule, yeah. So if they score more than that, they get effectively disqualified. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because the extent they went to try and not win by this much was pretty extreme. They played 4 different ruckmen, 4 different fullbacks, 4 different halfbacks, 4 different half forwards, and 4 different midfield rotations. Players who kicked goals were regularly moved into the back line. One player who kicked 3 of the team's 5 second quarter goals was moved to fullback for the second half. And the player voted best on ground spent the third quarter on the bench.
Yeah.
So,
God.
In my mind, there's a certain... You can't teach kids to hold back, I think, if you want them to succeed in sport. I mean, I can understand the point of view where you don't want kids to go home disheartened getting thumped every week. But again, that's a part of sport, and that's either going to drive them to get better, or it's going to weed out the people who shouldn't be playing. or yeah. What are your guys' thoughts? Because
that's amazing. I can't. How is
Ciaran,
that a rule? How is that a rule? Like kid sports and parents at kid sports and umpires at kid sports. They all baffle me. They all just confuse the crap out of me. That's like a different world where the world is just like a battlefield half the time. Like
sometimes it is a battlefield.
Yeah, and you're teaching kids. You're teaching kids that to stop. Like what? Are they supposed to continue playing the rest of the game but not score anymore? Like get to 60 points and then just kick around the ball and hold it there, and that's just because it's always funny. Like even stuff like I think it was last year before, Alistair Clarkson got in trouble at an underage game, like a juniors game, because he was like either yelling at the umpire or something, and he got banned from the next couple of games.
I think that's a different issue.
But it's just that world of, I don't know. Do they want the kids to be good at sport, or do they just want everybody to have a good time? That's just that baffles me.
No, What I think it is that they want everyone to think that everything in life should be handed to you on a silver platter, and that you don't have to work hard and everything is just rosy and peachy. Because that's like how the real world works, isn't it, guys? Like, we all don't go to work every day. We just get up and it's sunshine, lollipops outside, and everything's great, and nobody's mean to each other, and everything just works well. And you don't ever worry about working hard or doing anything. So I think they're just trying to give people give the children like a snapshot into what real life is like by having these ridiculous bloody rules.
Imagine in real life if in real life you went to work and you earned like say a couple $100 for the day, but they're like, wait, stop, you can't earn as much money now because Simon, good old Simo, needs to
bloody
come and
Simo.
earn the same amount as you.
Oh,
Like, you
Simo,
need to.
not Simo.
Bloody Simo has to catch up with sales.
Simo's not quite as smart as you, and he definitely doesn't work as hard. So we need you to take a pay cut so he can earn as much as you, even though he does less of a job than you. No, I think it's absolute garbage. This kind of crap. It just, what it does is it's just like, I just don't. It just doesn't make any sense. Like it completely takes out any concept of hard work and work ethic from these kids. They should be teaching these kids, like, if you lose, you need to be better. You need to work harder. You need to train harder. You need to be more committed. You need to be harder at the ball. And then you will win. Not, hey, okay, be really bad and we'll still make sure that you don't get beaten by too much because we don't want you to feel bad. It's just teaching just really bad habits. It's this whole 21st century PC garbage where everyone's got to make sure that no one can upset anyone, and it's all sunshine lollipops. And then what's going to happen when these kids get into the real world and they work out that, hey, it's not actually how it works, and you've actually got to work hard if you want to get good things in life. Instead, it's not just going to be handed to you, and you're not going to get concessions and good things. That's why we have a bloody unemployment epidemic in this country, is because we treat people like babies for too long, and it's too easy for them to bloody get out the easy way.
If you want there to be a mercy rule, just add a goddamn golden snitch into the game. They get an extra 120 points, and they win the goddamn game. Like, come on.
Oh, God. It's such garbage, though. It really is. Like, the sport is about competitiveness, right?
Yeah.
And competing and working hard and training hard to achieve a goal, which is winning. You take that away, what's the point? What's the point? It's just exercise then. It's not even sport anymore. It's just exercise.
You're going to get to the point where the second place trophy is bigger than the first place trophy.
Oh, God. Spare me. Even like, and you hear some about like the mercy rule and that, like, you can make arguments for it and that. I still think it's ridiculous. But there's some leagues where they don't even score.
Wait, what?
Like, they don't even keep score. It's just, off you go. Out you go, play for an hour and a half and then come back in. This is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, you were just teaching these kids bad habits. It's like having a swimming relay and giving every single kid a placing. You lost, mate. Get better. Get good scrub.
Oh, man. I want to see Jack
Well, what happened? You
watching
came
the Oz
fourth?
Kick kids.
Oh, say again, sorry.
I want to see you watching the Oz Kick kids going around. Oh, get good scrub.
Get good scrub.
Can't wait for to go to
Pelican over
Ozkick
the
one day
fence,
with...
You're down by
go to Ozkick
25.
one day. Go to Ozkick one day with Jack, and he watches Will run up and take a hanger off some kid's back, and Jack's just like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing, kid? Get good!" just taunting.
No, it's crap. But you know what? Like, I would not teach my son. I would not send my son to play football and in a league that enforces ridiculous rules like that, because I want my son. Because this is right. Like, not only is sport about obviously having fun and that kind of thing, but it teaches you life lessons. It teaches the importance of hard work, of training hard, of commitment, of seeing things through. I used to hate, I was not the best footballer. I was far from the best footballer on my team. In fact, I would have been in the bottom 4 or 5, maybe even the bottom couple at times through my career. I had really good skills, but I was fat and slow, right? But I tell you what, I went to have training every bloody week, and it used to upset me to tears, not physical tears, but that expression, there's a great song about it, that I would go to training every week and bust my backside and work hard to try and get better, and other kids would come on, they would never go to training, and they just rock up on Sunday and play a full game. It used to really annoy me. But you know what it taught me? It taught me that I've got better work ethic than any of these kids, and I will make something of my life one day. And I have. I think I'm a successful person. I think, the way that I carry myself is a big reason where I am today. And it's because I work hard. And you're teaching kids, by doing this kind of thing, you're teaching them that they don't need to work hard to get success, is that it will just be given to you, and which is not how it works. So I would not play my son in a league where they have these rules. I would take him to another league. And if that league has it, I'd take him to a different league until I found a league that goes, yep, no, we score. And there's no mercy rule. And if you get beaten by 100 points, you get beaten by 100 points. Get better. Train harder. Improve your skills. Get fitter. Get good scrub. Not bloody, okay, you're terrible, but we're going to give you the W anyway, or we're just not going to. You don't actually get beaten. It's just because then where's the fun of the kids that actually work hard and are good, skilled? It just teaches them you're taking something away from them.
Yeah.
This game, this specific game, right? This team has been penalised, taking points away because they beat this other team by too much. What if this team who won just work really, really hard, and all the players come to training every week? Why are we penalising them for being good and working hard to get to where they are? Why don't you penalise the team that hasn't worked hard and hasn't trained hard enough and whose coach hasn't taught them the right way? Why are we penalising the people who work hard? It just makes no sense. It's this country. It's a problem with this country. We penalise the people that work hard and we reward the bloody dole bludgers.
Moving into a way different topic.
It's true though, isn't it?
No.
It's a systematic problem.
Slippery slope.
System,
Slippery slope.
Systematic? Systemic? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a problem with our country. It is. You penalise the people that work hard. I don't know how it is. I work hard. My partner and I work hard, but we work any harder and we actually go backwards because the government says, "Oh, you work too hard. We better have some of that. Give it to the guy who hasn't worked for 10 years, goes and gets his Centrelink every week and buys his Winnie Blues." Jesus. Tell you what, I should have gone into politics. I would have fixed this country. I tell you what. But yeah, no, I think it's ridiculous. It's just
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that. I
Yeah.
think anyone with a brain can agree on that.
Yeah. Junior sports is I think we're going to go back down in again at some point.
Most definitely. Apologies to all the dole bludgers listening if I've offended you.
Get a job.
Get good scrub. Yeah, get a job, scrub.
Get a job, scrub.
Oh, dearie me. Guys, what are we looking forward to this weekend?
For me, it is Brisbane versus Gold Coast in the Q Clash. Yeah, there is a little bit of feeling between the teams now, steadily growing each time, so it should be interesting.
Don't get used to that, mate. Gold Coast will be in Tasmania in 3 years.
Yeah, probably. So, and then, yeah.
I
it.
am looking forward
Q
to
Clash.
Far out.
Well, yeah, they'll have a new coach as well, Gold Coast, which
Probably.
is
Yeah,
which
maybe.
well, not maybe. Rodney
Not
got
maybe.
sacked today, so
He's gone.
He did. I didn't
He
hear
got
that.
sacked today. He got sacked today, and then he's like, "No, I don't want to play. I won't coach for the next 3 games. Then I'm gone. See
he
ya."
did the exact same thing at the Doggies when we sacked him at the Doggies. He said he was going to, and then he's like, "Nah, bugger that." I feel for Rodney Eade. Just on another topic, another sort of side note. He was sold a lemon with that club. He got there.
He just walked into a shit sandwich. Just here you go.
Yeah. And they've been unlucky with injuries.
Yeah, very much so. Injuries, but a really bad culture as well. A really poor list. It was just, I feel for him. And now he's the scapegoat and he's been sacked. So it's quite unfortunate for him. Obviously, I have an affinity with Rocket. He coached us to 3 prelims in a row and was there for a few years. So never obviously got the. It's a shame because he's probably one of the one of the better coaches who's ever coached. He's taken Sydney to a grand final unsuccessfully. He took us to 3 prelims in a row, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to get anywhere near it at Gold Coast. But that'll probably be the end of it for him, and he won't be lost to footy. He'll go into an coaching administration role somewhere. He'll get a job quite easily. But
it was at Collingwood before
sad.
he went to. He
was director of coaching at Collingwood, and then obviously got offered the job at the Gold Coast. So you got to feel for him. But I think they'll have a clean out there. I think Marcus Ashcroft, footy manager, will go, as will Scott Clayton, the recruiter.
Sounds like it.
Famously said, if Jared Grant isn't the best player in that year's draft, he'll swim to Williamstown. Never actually swam to Williamstown, which is disappointing on his behalf.
Interesting that it's taken this long for a coach to get the sack this season.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Normally...
It came out of nowhere. I didn't come out of nowhere because they already said they were doing a review, but...
Yeah, exactly right, yeah.
And his contract was up, I'm
Ciaran?
pretty sure.
I'm looking forward to the clash of the Marchants, Hawthorn versus North Melbourne.
Ooh.
Dad versus me. That'll be fun. I've already told Dad that I think Ben Brown needs to take a week off and he needs to sit down and rest his head. Because without Ben Brown, North Melbourne's got no hope. And then also I'm going to St Kilda, Melbourne on Sunday with a couple work friends. Going with 2 Melbourne supporters and a St
Double
Kilda
banger.
supporter.
Oh, it's in Tassie, isn't it? The Hawthorn game.
Oh, the Hawthorn game's in Tassie, so I couldn't go to that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go to that, and it's going to be really fun. Like you said to me when we went to footy, Jack, it's really good to go to footy when your team's not playing because you get to just enjoy.
You can actually watch the game.
You get to enjoy and watch the game, and I'm looking forward to that.
It'll
I'm
be
looking
unbiased.
forward to.
You don't have to yell ball all match.
Yeah, I can just yell ball for both teams. I can sit there and enjoy the game, and then I can sit there for the car ride home with either 2 people having like a rain cloud over their head or 1 person, and it's going to be quite enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very good, very good. I hope St Kilda win.
I hope Melbourne win.
You better not.
I need Melbourne to win. I need St Kilda to finish slower than Hawthorn.
True, yeah, that would be quite funny. It's AFL all round for the what we're looking forward to. I'm obviously looking forward to Friday night football, playing my second most hated team in GWS. The only disappointing thing is that Ryan Griffin's not playing, so I don't get to boo him, which was one of the great joys of playing against GWS is booing that traitorous dog. But it'll be good. Hopefully we
Dog
win.
fit.
Say again?
I said dog fit. Because he was
Dog
a treacherous
fit.
dog. He used to be a
I
bulldog.
don't get it.
Never mind.
I don't.
Stop it.
Just stop, Ash. We'll
Stop,
cut all
Ash.
that out. We
Stop
won't.
it.
Don't even do that.
No, it'll be a great game. Friday night football will be massive. Obviously, Big Mumford is a big out for them. He'll be suspended, so Jeremy Cameron's out as well. Unfortunately, the scrub Toby Green will come back in, but we should hopefully get over the Giants and cement our place in the top 8, which would be very, very handy.
I hope JJ's back in the team for you.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, me too. We should have we've got some. Stringer should come back in this week. JJ should come back in. Dixon could be right to play. Good news around Dale Morris. Probably, it was looking like career over. Only a couple of weeks away, they think, with that broken arm. How's that?
That's crazy.
Dangerfield the week before gets what. A lot of people saying, I can't even see where his foot made contact, and he's bloody limping around crying the whole game. And Dale Morris breaks his arm in half and is like walking off the ground just being like, yeah. And then after the game, he said, he's like, I've broken bones before. This wasn't the worst one. Just an
Also-
animal. So only
While we're talking about
Sorry,
the
go
doggies, just quickly, shout out to Matty Boyd that announced his retirement today.
stole my thunder, didn't you?
I did.
You just took
I
that
did.
one away
I
from
took
me.
it from you. Ha ha!
You're done. You're dead to me.
I knew.
Yeah, shout out to Matty Boyd. What an absolute champion of the doggies. He could even come into the side this week. 291 games he's played so far. Most games ever played by a player off the rookie list. 3-time All-Australian. Captain of the club. Premiership player. There's not 3-time best and fairest winner. There's not much more you can really do. He'll go down as one of the greats. Just a shame he won't get to the 300 game mark, which is it'd be great sort of end cap to his career, but he'll finish in the 290s, which is an amazing feat in its own, and no doubt will be a future Hall of Famer for both the AFL and the doggies. So shout out to you, Matty Boyd, and a good bloke as well. More than anything, I've dealt in my previous work in that industry. I dealt a lot with Matthew with a few different things, and always very polite, always welcoming for a chat. So big ups to you, and we're cheering loud for you this weekend, mate, if you get into the team.
It's okay. I'm a bigger fan, clearly, because I mentioned it.
First.
You jerk. Oh, dear. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Grandstand Gurus. This is a product of the Explosion Network. You can find all of our content over at www.explosionnetwork.com. You can follow us all on Twitter. Ashley is at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEY, Ciaran is at your boy Ringo, and I am at Kruse_mate. Grandstand Gurus posts every Thursday at 12 p.m, so make sure you download that. please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Jump over our YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe there and a like. It all makes a massive difference, and it means a lot to all of us and Ashley and his family.
It does. Deeply.
So please remember, like, subscribe, share us with your friends and with your mother. Until next time, plat plat, keep on grandstanding.
This August on the Explosion Network. If you want more of this good stuff, check us out every week on podcast services and YouTube. Pleasure Explosion, the original Explosion pod, goes up every Monday. Our PlayStation podcast, Platinum Explosion, hits on Tuesdays. And we get into some sports discussion with Grandstand gurus each and every Thursday. Make sure to keep up with explosionnetwork.com for all the latest content, including weekly stream schedules, reviews and reacts, plus our Game of Thrones reaction show, South of King's Landing. Plat plat.
Hit me
See,
up,
because
Matty
he
boys,
used
you
to
on the
be a
spot.
bulldog. So he's a treacherous dog. So it works. Both ways.
Shut up, Ashley.
He already said treacherous dog, right?